Good afternoon and welcome once again to the Polity. Like I said, we'll be taking a look now at the state of the nation and issues affecting the polity, particularly what I call a cross-national, international issue right at our borders, speaking about the Niger coup and the conflicts arising from that decision. Right now, we'll be taking a look at how Nigeria factors into the equation of stability in the West African states and African states, so to speak, that have undergone a drastic change or a takeover from civilian to military rule. We'll also be taking a look at other issues such as the ministerial list and the screening which is going on at the National Assembly. I've been joined now by Dr. Law Mefo. He's a social scientist. He joins me now to do justice to the matter. Good afternoon and welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to have you.
Thank you for hosting me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about we'll start with the Niger crisis, then we move over to things within our own borders here. What's your take on it, and what we're seeing, and what you think Nigeria's role is to be? Because a lot of people are advising that we should show force. Some persons are advising that we should be calm about it and not cause any more trouble and so on and so forth. What do you think is the way forward?
Yeah. Somehow the onus is on Nigeria because our own president is the chairman of ECOWAS, heads of state, and all that. I wouldn't think that what has happened in Niger can be compared to what happened in Satome, when Obasanjo was president. There was a similar occurrence. The military took over, and Obasanjo, I think, was also the chairman of ECOWAS then. Simply told the boys to leave power, and assured them of amnesty, which he secured and guaranteed for them. I don't want to believe that history has repeated itself by the same or similar situation presenting itself in Niger. I believe that we need to show more restraint this time. I can see some red flags. I read the tweet by the Wagner leader, the Russian-based, what do I call them? Mercenary group. It's a militia group, and if you read their history, it's a very deadly force. In fact, the entry into the Russia-Ukraine war, was somehow even regretted by Russian authorities, including Putin. So if you allow a group like that to come into the fray in what is going on in West African sub-region, I don't know how it is going to end. I say this advisedly. Number one is that if you say that we should use force to get the military out of power and restore the so-called democracy in Niger Republic, you need to put a number of things into consideration. One, I have talked about Wagner, that has indicated interest that they want to back the military in Niger if need be. That's a direct offer, and it's a deadly force running into thousands, and they are rich and armed to the teeth. They are mercenaries, and they are war hardened. They are not just mercenaries. Mercenaries may be former soldiers that are disengaged and somehow offer themselves for a kind of intervention as individuals mostly, right? But here is a group, they number up to 50,000, and they are not only strong in terms of number, they also have been active. And like I said, they have been involved in the Russia-Ukraine war, which means of late, they have, seen a battle and therefore inform, if I may say that. Now, if you say that ECOWAS should intervene, remember about the experience we had with ECOMOG. You know, ECOMOG intervention in places like Liberia, Sierra Leone, and here and there. Nigeria bore over 80% of the financial burden, and even a military contribution. The troops, Nigeria contributed far more than 50%. Now, if you want a repeat in Niger, that there should be an intervention by ECOMOG, it means you have to reassemble ECOMOG by asking the member states to contribute troops. You know. But at the end of the day, the onus will be on Nigeria to really drive the process, and if you fund it. We are not in a position to do that now. This is my humble opinion. So for me, I think the best option for us is to toe the diplomatic path. And if we can't get through with it using diplomatic means, for God's sake, Tinubu should look away from Niger.
Right. I think that's the argument going now. That
yes.
Is this something that Nigeria can look away from? I think our largest border, like the largest person that we border, is Niger Republic. And if a large-scale crisis is going on there, it is believed that one way or another, Nigeria is going to feel it. We already know that we've had a lot of porous borders. We saw during the removal of fuel subsidy that neighboring states were angry with the policy because
correct. Yeah.
They were not getting, meaning it's so easy for them to go back and forth. And this is also one of the reasons why I believe the issue of diaspora voting doesn't fly so easily. So the question is, can Nigeria afford to allow it to escalate to the point where it starts to affect us?
That's a big question. You see, it is what you may call between the devil and the deep blue sea. We don't have many options here, you know, because the other approach is to confront the military there. If that has to happen, it means that Nigeria will have to bear 50 to 70% of both the military and financial burden. And my view is that we are not in a position to do that. Our military is stretched to the limit. And if you want to create another battleground for them there, it's a lot for us. Because it means that what they are doing in Nigeria, you know, will have to suffer less attention, whether we like it or not. For me, that becomes a kind of distraction for what is going on here. The war Nigeria military is waging against terrorism, against banditry, and militancy, and so on and so forth. They just have to concentrate on that. And we don't have the resources at the moment to be able to carry through such a major military operation.
But people say that compared to Niger, we are quite much larger.
You
still attack planes and can easily.
That's precisely, you know, that's why I started with the incursion being made by the Wagner, you know, militia from Russia. It's very important that we bear that in mind. So you need to look beyond Niger now.
That they have allies now.
They have allies. You know, it's not speculation. Find the tweet of the Wagner leader, you know, militia leader, just last night. They have already declared their support for. Do you understand that? And Putin will be glad to release them, unleash them on West Africa, and take them off his back. Do you understand that? He will even support them. So if you want to talk in terms of a military capacity and all that, Putin is not too far away from that also. And he has always been looking for an opportunity to assert himself in Africa. So this could be one. We need to really think clearly. Do you understand that? There are times retreat is wiser. It may be a better option. Do you get the point? And again, the money that will be involved, you have to pay the soldiers on daily basis. And the experience, ECOMOG 1 and ECOMOG 2, we didn't come out of that place with anything except our usual big brother, how do I really put it, status, a bit more bloated, that yes, we intervened yet again. What did you get out of that? Even the what you may call a reconstruction of those countries, you know, because if America leads such an operation, if America leads such an operation, the reconstruction work that will be done will be carried out by American contractors. The Nigerians actually play a major role in the reconstruction of Liberia and Sierra Leone. We didn't. The records are not there. Maybe one or two recommendations. So if you look at it from that perspective, you see that we didn't gain anything from such interventions in the past. And if the entire ECOWAS community, ECOWAS nation states, will fairly contribute troops, contribute arms, contribute soldiers, fine and good, we may give it a try. But again, don't forget that if you lure the 50,000 Wagner troops to Niger, by the time they are done with the problem of Niger, they may not go back. They may decide to stay put. And Nigeria becomes a kind of an extension of sorts. You know, the country is crisis ridden. Nigeria as a country. You know, Nigeria is crisis ridden. And whether we like it or not, more crisis is loaded. The president is going to address Nigerians today at 7. Why? Because because the atmosphere is charged. So he's trying to douse attention and stuff and things like that. Fine and good, but it's indicative of the fact that all is not well. Labour is rolling out next tomorrow, August 2nd, on an indefinite nationwide strike. Nobody knows how it is going to end. And with this kind of atmosphere, and you don't even know what will be the end result of the presidential election petitions that will ultimately end in the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Depending whether Tinubu stays or goes based on the verdict of the Supreme Court on the presidential election, there is likely to be some crisis, whether we like it or not. So we don't need to open our flanks. You get the point? Let them try diplomatic means of resolving this. And if they can't succeed through diplomacy, Tinubu should look away from Niger.
Well, but what do you make of when people say that there's a message being passed here? Let me see if I can get that figure. But as we speak, there are quite a number of African states that are currently under military rule.
6.
We have Burkina Faso since January 2022, Chad since April 2021, Guinea since September 2021, Mali since August 2020, Niger since July 2023, Sudan since October 2021.
Yeah.
People are saying if the states don't begin to come together to do something, the countries, it starts to plant an idea in military in other African states.
You see, that's exactly where I differ from some of all this. Democracy is not cast in stone. Democracy is a form of government. The question is, has democracy worked for us? Has it? Has it put more food on the table for Nigerians? Has it guaranteed better infrastructure? Has it guaranteed accountability? Has it guaranteed good governance? Look at the Nigerian experience. So those who are calling for a gang up of governments of West Africa to stop further military incursion are not addressing the issue. They should be asking themselves, why are the military coming back?
But is there any scenario where military rule is better than democracy? Even using Nigeria as a context.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you. This is not my idea of democracy. Nigeria at best is a civil rule. Simple. This is all democracy, as far as I am concerned. Nigeria was far more stronger economically under IBB, under Abacha. These are facts. The records are there. Abacha was there for 5 years, and the naira to dollar was stable for 4.5 years. Didn't move an inch. That is something. Do you understand that? The economy was predictable, everything. IBB diversified the economy. If IBB handed power over to Abiola, he would have passed as one of the greatest African leaders of all times. But he didn't.
But when you talk about numbers, I do believe that the advent of the PDP in 1999 actually saw an upsurge. There was would I say, rot in the system. Till today, Abacha loot is still being
recovered. Yes, sure. That is, that's a problem.
Because there's this idea that the military is pure and the military doesn't do evil.
I never said the military is pure, but as far as I am concerned, looting is taking place far more now than ever happened in Nigerian history. So you discover that the problem of corruption, it has been cancelled out by the civilian administration. Democracy has not demonstrated to be any better in terms of taking care of corruption. They are more corrupt than the military. The facts are there. Look around you. You will see corruption everywhere. The president just set up, appointed an independent investigator to start with the CBN and other agencies. Yes, it's one of my recommendations that he needs to really probe these agencies and recover well over 100 trillion that Nigerian politicians stole. Do you understand that? That didn't happen under the military. The level of rot now. So we wouldn't say the military was more corrupt. Since the military wasn't more corrupt than the civilians, then we look at the achievements. This area capital territory, for example, was built by the military. Do you understand what I'm saying? Since the democracy started in 1999, what have the successive governments added to the development of Abuja? So you can compare what happened between IBB and Abacha in the physical construction and development of Abuja, compared to what the successive civilian administrations have actually added.
Compare.
It pales into insignificance.
There are still dangerous thoughts there, especially when it comes to human rights. We're not saying it's perfect in democracy, but in the military, it's not guaranteed at all. Whatever they say goes.
Well, I don't know, it's still as bad. I don't know how to really put it. I don't know whether I wouldn't be able to take a position on whether I prefer a military administration to a democracy until I see a democracy in Nigeria. I can't see any. No election. There is no democracy. Look at what is going on in National Assembly. A motion was passed for the Senate to intervene in the suffering of the Nigerian masses. You saw how the Senate president treated it. Those who said that Nigerian masses should brace, mocking Nigerian masses. It happened not less than a week ago. He simply mocked Nigerian masses. Nigerian masses are far more, they are far more weaker. They are weaker now, very weak. Pauperization has become a policy. People are made so weak and almost unable to say anything anymore.
All right, I'm so sorry.
Do you get the point?
Yeah, we seem to have run out of time. It's a pity. Hopefully, we get to continue the conversation some other time. Thank you so much for coming.
The pleasure is always mine.
All right, that's all we can take for the program today. Do join us tomorrow, every weekday, 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. The Polity reaches you live from Abuja. Have a nice day. See you tomorrow.